didn't ride quite as good outdoors. That's a different story now, and different story for John Dowd today, too. The defending champion having his problems in the first moto, but the second moto, he has a chance to redeem himself.
And you got to watch Jeff Emig in this moto, I think.
Oh, I think he looks pretty focused and obviously very motivated from what happened to him in the first moto, and it'll be tough.
Now McGrath has padded his points lead even more. Came in here with a 19-point lead. It's already been padded by moto number 1. Remember that Emig finished out of the points in the 21st spot. There they go.
Long, flat drag race to the first corner. Looks like Emig got the whole shot.
Looked like Kedrowski's also in there pretty good. And oh, look at second spot. It's Larry Ward off to a great start here. But oh, we've got a rider down. It's a red bike. Looks like one of the Hondas.
Looked like McGrath.
Man, yes, it was. Jeremy McGrath all the way back to last. And look at it, having a little problems refiring it, just taking his time. Now I guess he'll just feel things out to make sure he's okay. Shakes his head. What does that do when you shake your head? Does it really shake the cobwebs out like they all say?
I don't know. Just shakes the sand around inside of your goggles. There's another rider down. Lorocco.
Look at Lorocco.
Well, that doesn't look good. He's already got his helmet off. That's Roy Turner, the team manager, right there with him. But a great start for Jeff Emig. That's just what he needed. And you remember in that soundbite at the end of the first moto, he said something's got to change. Well, it just did.
Well, McGrath certainly at a disadvantage. He's well back. Hey, look, there's 114. Damon Bradshaw off to a pretty good start, too.
Well, he's been needing one. That poor guy's been in every pile. All the stuff that's been happening has been happening to him. And finally, a good, clean start.
But Jeff Emig, after just that terrible luck on the first lap in the first moto today, gets the whole shot out in front, but he's got to contend with Mike Kedrowski.
No, what he's got the advantage of right now, he's riding through those sections where the track's been water, a little slick.
Look at that, Lorocco, the left knee. Man, you got to hope that he didn't tear a ligament, or now looking down at the ankle.
Well, that doesn't look good. It looks like it. I mean, he doesn't look to be in a lot of pain, but if they're taking the boot off, they want to look at his knee. I'm not sure if he wears a knee brace on that side. A lot of guys do. That's the last thing he needs is another injury.
Well, he's able to move it around, but it looks like he's in a little bit of pain. You know, it's not like when you see a football player get blindsided from the side and they tear that ACL. You see them just wincing in pain. Lorocco looks like maybe he's going to be okay. We hope so, anyway.
Well, not for this moto, but you know, he's not in the contention. Well, he's obviously upset.
Yeah, he's very mad and look at pain there, but boy, we certainly hope that it's nothing serious. Now back up to the battle up front. Jeff Emig leading Kedrowski. Larry Ward is in there, and that's John Dowd off to a good start. Remember, he also, along with Emig, got tangled up that first moto.
Right, well, Larry Ward with a pair of good starts, and John Dowd with the start he needs. Remember, he was pretty fast here last year, picked up his first ever national, well, actually his second. He won his first one in the mud. This one here was a lot more convincing, edging out Lorocco.
And where is Jeremy McGrath? Boy, that's got to put a lot of pressure on him because, you know, Emig could go on and win this. Say the same thing happened to Jeremy. The roles are reversed, and you're right back into the points title chase is tight again.
Well, that's one of the interesting things about motocross is that you can never predict anything. I mean, in theory, everything goes pretty smooth, but once you get out there, riders knock you down, and you have problems with the bike. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong, and it's not going too good for Lorocco today, but he did win the first moto, and he seems to be able to walk pretty good on his own, so that's a good sign.
He's not going to get back on the bike. He's just talking things over. Maybe they'll push it back, but yeah, it's a good thing, a good sign that he's able to walk. Even with help, he wasn't carried off.
No, like I said, he doesn't need any more injuries. I think he's had his share for an entire career, really. He's been through quite a lot, and Jeff Emig having his problems in the first moto, but things are looking good for him right now, and he looked determined in that interview where he said, well, you know, luck's got to change sometime, and I think he may have been referring to the ease that McGrath has had for the past several years, really not having any kind of injuries to deal with or any bike problems, just winning everything. Everyone around him having a lot of problems, and that's all changed in this moto. McGrath having to come from dead last.
And look at John Dowd. He's gotten around Larry Ward and taken over that third spot. He, along with Emig, both very determined here in the second moto after the problems they experienced in that very first moto.
Well, Kedrowski knows how to go fast here. He rode fantastic in the first moto. He doesn't have his teammate Lorocco to contend with, so you would think he'd be the fastest rider on the racetrack, but determination can overcome quite a bit.
Well, things are starting to shake out as they settle down in the early stages of Moto number 2. You get a look at the top 10 on our Honda Field Summary. Back with more right after this. Welcome back to Spring Creek Motocross Park, Millville, Minnesota. Art Ekman down in the pits, David Bailey and John Kernan up top. Your leader, Jeff Emig, has put just a little bit of distance on the second place battles. Kedrowski soon to have his hands full with John Dowd.
Well, I think he already does. Look, he does a little tank slap there with the front end. And you hear about head shake. Well, that's a good look at what it's like. Doesn't feel good when you're riding the motorcycle, but obviously Kedrowski's pushing the pace, and that's what happens.
Yeah, but look at that. John Dowd trying a different line coming through those whoops. He gets alongside Kedrowski. Dowd going for second spot as Team Yamaha trying to take over the first two spots, but he just cannot do it. And if he's not careful, Dowd's going to have to contend with Larry Ward in a moment. This is a great battle for second place.
It's a good race. And John Dowd, through that sand section right there, you have a little Southwick flashback. Started to go pretty fast through there, but he got out of control and couldn't make that pass.
Once again, Jeff Emig is up front. He's put a little bit of distance on Kedrowski, and the battle now is kind of, for second place, is kind of settled down just a little bit. Dowd riding along in third. Larry Ward is sitting in the fourth spot after getting off to another good start.
Well, Jeremy McGrath still way back in the pack. He could possibly go even in points, like you said, with Jeff Emig, if Emig can hold on to that lead.
Well, we showed you earlier that Mike Lorocco injury maybe to a knee in a crash early, and for more on that, let's go to Art Ekman.
Roy, from your standpoint, what did you see in that first turn?
Well, it's a tight first turn. The turn's not tight, but everybody came from the outside, swept across, chopped his front wheel off. He tangled with McGrath, was who came across the top of him and took his front wheel. Went across the tires, and he caught his leg on one of those tires, and he hyperextended his knee.
So it's likely not a dangerous injury then?
Well, you wouldn't say that, no. He says he feel like he hyperextended his knee, and anytime you do that, it can take a while. So he seems to be getting around pretty quick already right now, so we'll just have to, take an hour or two here and evaluate it and see what's up.
Well, we mentioned that he's able to walk around without too much pain, but you never know in a couple hours what can flare up. You can get some fluid in there, and that could be a serious problem. But regardless, you hate to see the top-notch riders out of the series, and it looks like he's going to be out for the day. We've already had Doug Henry with a serious injury. Greg Albertine's out with a navicular, so there's not that many good guys left, and it's really unfortunate.
It's almost to the point now where everybody's saying, wait till next year.
Yeah, well, that's good news for McGrath, but it's not good news for racing. You want to see everyone out there healthy.
Jeff Emig has a healthy lead right now over Kedrowski. John Dowd is third. There's Larry Ward riding along in the fourth spot, and I didn't quite catch who was riding along in fifth. Did you catch that? Well, never mind that. Let's watch this battle for the second spot. It's really shaping up to be a good one, it looks like.
Well, I think to answer your question, I think it's Damon Bradshaw who's cruising around there in fifth. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And he's just waiting for these three guys to take each other out. What a good battle. Larry Ward's still hanging in there pretty tough. Larry's hadn't had a real good outdoor season after that incredible indoor season he had. And these guys are going fast. They're pushing the pace, and Larry's right there.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there with that, but I thought Kedrowski was going to dump it there on that bank. Man, he got out of shape.
Oh, he just went out there and rode into that bank, tried to square off the corner. They've watered the track right there, and because it's in the shade, it hasn't really dried out. He's just looking to hook up, but John Dowd had a little better line on the inside right there, and if he's close enough in the next couple of laps, if he hasn't gotten around him already, he might be able to pass him there.
Well, John Dowd last year had 2 overall victories. As we mentioned, he's the defending champ of the Millville race from last year. This year, though, his best finish has been a second at Mount Morris. And well, with that crash in the first moto, he has no chance at the overall, so he can only come back and salvage a moto victory here in the second. And I'm sure that's what's on his mind.
Oh, I'm sure it is. And the leader's not that far away, but, it's funny is now that Jeff Emig is out there leading, I got to wonder if Yamaha would want to see that happen. I don't think so. With Emig trying to gain as many points on McGrath, it may just give John a sign that says, just hang back there behind your teammate and let him gather a few more points.
You don't think if McGrath actually comes through, he might play a blocking role, would you think?
Oh, I think he just might. I would. That'd be smart business on Yamaha's part. I mean, a title is important, and they haven't won one in a pretty long time.
Well, you know that Steve Butler and all the Yamaha people are keeping a close tab on where Jeremy McGrath is, and they're calculating the points probably every single lap.
Well, Jeremy can carve through a pack in the span of a moto. He can carve through just about everybody, and I don't know if it's really necessary to start tabulating right now, because by the time they get finished tabulating, they'll have to retabulate, because they'll pass 5 more guys.
We're in the middle stages of Moto number 2 here at Millville as you get a look at our top 10 on the Honda Field Summary. Back with more after this. ESPN Speed World welcomes you back to Spring Creek Motocross Park, Millville, Minnesota. We've got a tight four-way battle for the lead here in Moto number 2, but it is Jeff Emig, the Yamaha rider, second in points, who is leading it. But now you get a good look back at John Dowd, who's riding along in the 3rd spot. Boy, it looks like the right leg almost came off the pegs there, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. He's pushing as hard as he can, and right there,
look at that. Man, he comes down on the jump and takes over that 2nd spot. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, David.
That's okay. This is the action. And, you know, John Dowd he's not pretty, and but he makes it work. So it doesn't matter. If he can stay back on the motorcycle, keep it on 2 wheels, doesn't matter what it looks like, as long as he goes fast.
Now, you're talking about the riding style, right? You're not talking about his face, okay?
Oh, he's beautiful.
Right now, he's feeling beautiful. He has moved into the 2nd spot to put Kudrowski back to 3rd. Now, Damon Bradshaw has been running in the top 5, and earlier we talked to him about how difficult his comeback had been.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be tough. You know, I knew there was a lot of guys out there capable of winning, and it's just that. You know, there's a bunch of guys that are going fast, and you know, I can do their speed. I know because I've done it, whether it's been in practice or sometime during the moto. But it's just a matter of being able to run it for 35 minutes. You know, because those guys can run that pace the whole time.
There you get a look at what Damon was talking about as he came down that straightaway, got a little out of shape in those holes, went up against that bank, foot came off the peg, and he was able to run that pace the way these guys are. Schmit was able to make that pass. Damon is probably one of the most competitive motocross riders I've ever known. I mean, he's a lot like, I think, Michael Jordan. They talk about his competitiveness, or Charles Barkley. You can bet that he's not going to be satisfied with running around in 4th and 5th. And come next season, he'll be ready.
I was going to ask you about next year. Does he just feel things out now, the remaining motos of this year?
Well, you know, this year really for him is just training. Just go out there, get in shape, get used to riding with these guys, get used to the bikes. I mean, the bikes have made a lot of changes since he was riding, and that's what he's doing. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to put together a win, but the season's not over yet.
No, it's not, and that's why they race. Jeff Emig came into this event trailing Jeremy McGrath by 19 points. The first moto, he crashed, finished out of the points 21st, and you heard that interview with Art Ekman between motos, how he said some things had to change. Well, they have. He's up front, and now he's going to face a challenge from his Yamaha teammate, John Dowd. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if what you said, the advice you might have given them, that Dowd should hang back, if that will play out. It looks like Dowd's trying to go for the lead.
Oh, it sure does. That's a section Dowd's so fast in. Look at that.
Dowd takes over the lead, takes over the spot, drops Emig back, and that will cost Emig 3 points.
You know, I think Yamaha didn't make a very good decision or possibly Jeff on his part. I mean, he didn't get any points in the first moto. He had to ride the entire moto with all kinds of problems with an ill-handling motorcycle, wore himself out. Right now, I think he looks a little tired. Had he sat out that first moto, which didn't earn him any points anyway, he'd be more fresh and able to win this moto. And, you know, they can't expect John Dowd to ride around in 2nd gear. You know, he's got to go out and try his hardest. And in this case, Emig's just not going fast enough.
Well, let's go a little further back in the pack, and Jeremy McGrath has rallied from that crash in the early, on that first lap, as a matter of fact. He is riding along now in the 7th spot, I believe. So Emig running along in 2nd, so that's a point differential of what, about 10 points?
Not enough.
Not enough. Let's check into Jeremy's pits.
Skip, you just got through saying 2 more on that pit board.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get up to Donny Schmit. He's running 5th. We need to get in the top 5 and take back some of what Emig is getting right now. So it's going to be tough, but there should be about 6 laps left.
So many things happen so quickly in this game.
They sure do. You know, 1 minute you're doing good, and the next minute you're picking it up off the ground. That's racing.
That's a standard response. That's racing. Did you ever use that?
That's used a little bit too often, maybe sometimes as a cop-out, but you got to admire the attitude of Skip Norfolk, always looking for the positive side of things, and that's why those guys win.
Well, there's Larry Ward, and look at Donny Schmit. He's riding along in the 5th spot, having a really nice ride, and that's got to be quite encouraging for him. But Ward is holding down the 4th spot, while Dowd is the leader on your Honda Field Summary. Pick out your favorite rider, and we'll be back with the finish right after this. We are back at Spring Creek Motocross Park, Millville, Minnesota. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and John Kernan as we watch Larry Ward continue to circulate as Donny Schmit is behind him. That's a 4th and 5th place. It might shape up to a battle. Look, Schmidt's trying some different lines. He's trying to catch up. He'd love to win that 4th spot here in this 2nd moto.
It looks like he's closing in a little bit on Larry Ward, and I'll tell you what, Larry Ward looks a little tired. He doesn't look as aggressive as I've seen him look. And Look at that. I mean, just in the last couple of corners, he really closed the gap. So I'm pretty impressed. Schmit, you know, he doesn't do this all the time anymore, and he's in pretty good shape.
Came out of retirement for this. A former world champion who won a 125 and a 250 world motocross title. And look at this. He sweeps by, takes over 4th spot, and Larry Ward says, go ahead.
Yeah, not much of a fight from Larry Ward right there. And I can tell you that it's hot out there. It's hot. These guys are tired. It's the end of the second moto. And Donny Schmit, being a local guy, obviously used to the conditions here. We're going to take another look at this pass, which wasn't really all that exciting. Donny Schmit just kind of gassed out of the corner, had the better line, and Larry Ward didn't put up much of a fight, so it's pretty easy for him. But I think he's used to this humidity. He's used to this racetrack. He's done well here in the past, and nothing different today.
And you can hear the fans cheering him on. And I got to ask you, you're out of the points. I mean, with the Supercross season and the outdoor season, it's a long year for you. If you're out of the points as you get to the final motos, do you let down mentally at all?
A little bit. I mean, that's what I really want to see from McGrath. I think everyone wants to see it in the years to come, and he's starting to show signs of that right now. I mean, he's putting together a pretty good moto. He came from dead last. I mean, he didn't even, he's getting shoved over the berm right here from Kyle Lewis. He doesn't want to see McGrath ahead of him, but I mean, he's working his way. Maybe he'll be able to get inside the top 5, and that's the kind of ride you want to see from a champion.
Well, McGrath, of course, going down on the very first lap, has worked his way back into the 7th spot. Fighting now, trying to get the 6th spot, and he gets around Kyle Lewis, and Kyle got crossed up there a little bit, it looked like.
Yeah, and Jeremy looked over like, you know, I didn't really appreciate you pushing me over the berm. I'm going to look over at you and just make this pass a little bit worse.
A little bit of mind games, huh?
Yeah, Jeremy's, I can't believe how well he's caught back up to everyone. But you know what happens is, I mean, if Henry's not out there, Lorocco's out of it. We already mentioned that Albertine's out of it. I mean, that would drop him back 3 positions. So right now, Emig's wishing those guys were still in the field.
Oh, you better believe it. Right now, John Dowd is wishing that this day would be over, and he's going to get his wish very, very shortly. One more circuit left around the Spring Creek Motocross Park, and Dowd, the overall winner last year, will pick up the Moto victory, and it would be his first Moto win of the season.
Yeah,
am I right?
I think so. He looked like he was going to win a moto in Southwick when he had shock problems, and there's a look at Emig, still running second, and it looks like Kedrowski still holding on to number 3 position. If he can do that with a 2-3, he'll be able to win the overall.
Man, I'm telling you what, Dowd has checked out on Emig. Emig has checked out on Kedrowski on that long straightaway shot a couple of turns before this. You could see that there was no one behind him.
Well, I can tell you that Emig doesn't want to have to ride through that big whoop section anymore today. That takes so much energy out of you. They're riding through the shade right here. That probably feels good. Then they burst out into the sun right here. Look how much energy. They got to pick that front end up and jump the bike from hole to hole. If you let the front end drop right there, you're going to go over the handlebars.
And we don't want to see him do that. Kedrowski in the 3rd spot as you get a look at him. And as you said, if he stays in this position, he'll pick up the overall victory. It'll be the 2nd overall of the year. But here are the cheers for this man here, John Dowd, as he's in the final few turns, raising that left hand, waving to the crowd. The checkered flag is out, and Dowd takes the Moto victory.
2 years in a row winning the 2nd moto. Just too bad he couldn't put together something in the 1st moto.
Well, he gets a congratulatory pat on the back, and they got to be pretty happy. First Moto victory of the season, but here comes Kedrowski along. He'll take the 3rd spot, and Mike Kedrowski will pick up the overall victory here at Millville. Here's some of the fans' reaction. He looks pretty interested in waving that checkered flag, doesn't he? It even gets hot for the flagman here. Dowd wins Moto number 2, followed by Jeff Emig, Kedrowski, Donny Schmit. What a great ride for him. McGrath rallies to 5th place. Then it's Ward, Lewis, Amaradio, Lawrence, and Cliff Palmer. And Art Ekman is with Kedrowski.